so blurry. I hope your internet connection is good, right? Because we need good internet connection for what we're about to talk about. Yeah, I'm talking to my guests. I've been given strict warning, so I'll follow suit. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another ladies' room on this Tuesday, November 2nd. Yep, already day two. Good morning, Andrea. Good morning. Good morning. Come on into the room quickly, guys, because you know how before you know it, time is over and done with. We start with a lot of time, and by the time we're through, we're like, geez, we got so much more to talk about. Good morning, Queen Bee. Come on in the room, guys, and share the live. We're sort of piggybacking off yesterday's topic. And let me see if I shared myself. Hold on. And I wanted to hear from a young parent. I wanted to hear from a young parent as to how they cope and how they deal with, you know, the daily parenting issues that come up, and of course some of the challenges that, you know, women or mothers face. I saw a couple men saying, you know what, there are fathers who go through the same thing, but like I said, that's in the minority. You know, there's more mothers with children than fathers. I'm not asking. Where did Sheena go? Anyway, she got kicked out. Let me just wait for her to come back in. Good morning, Hazelin. Good morning, Rochelle. Good morning, Tamasha. Camillus, I have not seen you here in a minute. Brian, good morning. Yeah, Brian is always holding the fort in the ladies' room. I like that. Sometimes he's a lone man here, you know, keeping the conversation going. But good morning, Denise, Coxell, Reason, Lewis. Whew, it's a lot of surnames. Denise, Coxwell, Reason, Lewis. Charmaine, good morning. Good morning, guys. It's so good to have you guys. All right, so we're not going to stick, and I was told no long introduction, getting straight to the point. Good morning, Marcia. Good morning, Della. Good morning. Come on in, guys, and hit the share button, all right? Especially mothers, or you probably know of a mother that's going through a really hard time coping with motherhood and, you know, children and parenting, and still trying to keep it together. We really love to get them in. All right. So if you know of somebody who's going through that at the moment, or probably not aware of, but you just know a mother who could do it, you know, hearing what we're talking about, bring them into the room. Good morning, Patty. I realize you're very selective when you come here. Anyways, Sheena, good morning. How are you?
Hi, morning. I'm good. I have phone
I'm
issues,
not
but
hearing
I'm
you.
making it. You know me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now. I'm hearing you
Okay,
now.
okay.
Great. How? Listen, I was told no long to the introduction. All right, we're not gonna go into the who is Sheena and what is Sheena, blah blah blah. We're speaking directly as motherhood. You're a mother. How old is your son?
My son
My
is
son is
14.
14. All right, so you're a mother of a teenager, and
Mhm.
I've heard that can be very very challenging. So we're gonna start from, you know, let's do it from the beginning. Were you ever
You
prepared
hearing
for?
that
You hearing
feedback from
feedback
me,
from me,
Anona? Because
Anona?
I'm
Because
hearing
I'm hearing
myself.
yourself. You hearing yourself? Hold on, let me check. Okay. Tell me now.
Um, okay, no. Yeah,
No?
it's
All
good.
right, good now. Great. All right. Uh, f- I think we sorted it down. Someone saying feedback. We sorted it out. All
Okay,
right.
all right,
So,
great.
we should be good. Just hit me a thumbs up on the live, guys, if we're clear now. Just give me a thumbs up before we start. We're better now. All right. Good. But better now. Yeah. So I was saying, of course your son is 14, so we want to have a really open, frank conversation, and I know you to be, you know, one of those people who can be just that, right?
Mhm.
Totally upfront and honest about, you know, your situation, because you're usually blasted out there with no fear. So so we're not going into areas or uncharted waters that you have not been before, because you don't hide your struggles, you don't hide your challenges when it comes to being a
Mm.
mother and all of that. So I thought you'd be a really good person to talk to. So in terms of mothering, were you prepared? Were you prepared at any point in time? Did you have a plan? Or was it something that, you know what, it just happened because you were engaged in, according to Kareem, coitus?
Well, like a lot of young mothers myself, I mean, I was finished school and everything, but it just happened. And I have always told like friends and coworkers, you know, even though, as I said, I finished school, I did biology, I did not realize it was that easy to get pregnant. I did not realize it was that easy to get pregnant. I was not one of those who was blessed with parents or siblings to have the sex talk. So you learn from friends and you learn along the way. But
Mhm.
I did not realize
As what you learn
it
from
was
friend
that
isn't
easy.
factual.
Nah, because all of us young, I don't want to say we don't know what we're doing, but that's not the best place to get good advice from.
Mhm.
So that was how it happened for me. And I must say I was blessed to have a village because I had both grandparents. I had my grandparents and I had the dad grandparents there to help me. So in the beginning, it was very easy for me in that aspect because I had help. And when I tell you I had help, I had good help from both sets of grandparents,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Um, the struggle started to happen when
But before we get to the
I
struggle part, though, you mentioned that you got most of your information regarding sex, whatever, from friends, and
Mhm.
you didn't hear it from your parents, and that
No,
is something I'm
no.
sure a lot of us can say that all you were told was don't bring no child in my house, or
I wasn't even told that. I wasn't even told that,
we were
you
never
know?
given the birds and bees conversation. We don't, but
No.
parents never sat us down and say, hey, with a child come this responsibility and you're going to have to do this or you're going to do that.
Mhm.
Parent just didn't seem back then comfortable having the birds and bees, the sex conversation. It was one of
That's
the most
true.
uncomfortable thing. It still is for a lot of people, but I don't understand why when it can definitely help somebody to make better choices along the way, why we're still afraid to have a sex conversation with your children, even though some of you parents know that their children are engaged in sexual activities, but they don't speak on it.
I
Why
don't
do you
blame
think?
parents back then, but I blame our generation. We don't have any excuse as to why we don't talk to our kids. Even doesn't matter their age, there is an appropriate conversation you can have with them about sex.
Have you started that one with your son yet?
Yes. Because I've asked a lot of male friends at what age did they
Mhm.
start having sex. And when I heard the numbers, I had to ensure that my son knows how to use a condom properly about everything. Everything.
Okay, we're gonna get to that part first, but let's talk about the challenges because, like I said yesterday, based and I mean, my inbox is literally filled with mothers, young, not so young, all speaking on how challenging it is, especially now there seem to be a lot of single parent. And not single
Mhm.
parent in the case of okay, where I'm not with the person, but they're still involved with their child's life. It's a case of no involvement whatsoever, not even a contribution, a financial contribution, not even time, not nothing. And they do it all by themselves, and in some cases
And
with
that's
two
hard.
and three children, four children, doing it by themselves. In your case, you were lucky to have both grandparents and other help, but
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
speaking to women who say they have none of that.
I can't even imagine what it's like to not have help. And help is not always financial. Financial help is a big contributor, but like how you were speaking yesterday when a mother needs a breather. We are human beings. Sometimes we get tired of people. Women get tired of their husband get tired of their wife, you get tired of her friends. Imagine your child is a human being. Sometimes you need a breather. You need a breather. And for people who not able to get that breather, no matter how small, I don't know how they do it. Because as I've said, I have been blessed that I had help. I had I was able to get away. I was still young. So if I wanted to go out, babysitting wasn't an issue. I was able to keep that sanity that was needed, right? Because as I say, I was young. I needed it. And the thing about me, I never cared about being judged. And that's something a lot of parents, or I should say mothers, study too much what people are going to say about you. So they take a lot of pressure, or they fight a lot of battles that they don't need to fight because they're studying what people are going to say or what people are going to think. Even a lot of people don't want to bring their son's father up for maintenance because they're studying what people are going to say.
But you're
I
struggling.
should say son's father, children's father. Yeah,
But you're
so they
struggling.
struggle in silence, and then we have a way we like to judge people too. So I cannot say I always blame people for struggling in silence because we have a way we judge people. We always blame the mothers. We always blame Women just don't want to go through that. They fight their battles in silence. They struggle alone because we have a way we like to victim blame, eh? We have a problem with that, yeah. Ingrid leader especially.
Hmm. And the finger pointing without even knowing the actual circumstances. We just go with what we believe should be, and based on how you feel about that person, you tend to stick it to them more. But at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it takes two. A woman can't get pregnant by herself. It takes two. We need to do something for it to happen. So somebody, there must be shared responsibility, or whatever blame to go around. You can't just put it at, okay, this person. And my thing is, and I hear it a lot of the times, and one of the women said to me yesterday that men seem to think, okay, if I no longer have a relationship with you and there's another person that you're dealing with, then my child, our child, becomes the other person that you're dealing with responsibility, and I shouldn't have to do anything. Oh, you leave me, I will let your man handle that. Nothing to do with me. And one of the women yesterday was sharing that with me. That is what she's going through now. The person she's with is stepping up even more than the child's father, and,
It
and
happens.
and he seems to think that because she left the relationship and moved on with someone else, then the child now becomes part of collateral damage. Nothing to do with me. You and your man figure it out.
I mean, that is a very realistic and all too familiar situation. And all I stress so much, I always tell my friends, you have to be so mindful of who you have children with. You have to be mindful of who you have children with, and not just them. Think about their village too, because you have some grandparents. They tend to assist when their son isn't assisting. So you have to think about all these things, because I always tell people, yes, you're starting off, even people who plan to make children, you're starting off together cohesively. Things happen. People get divorced, and wives wondering, well, I can't believe I was married to this man. So things happen. So look at the village behind you. Do you have grandparents that kind of would encourage their son to do good? Do you have, even as men, because I mean, yeah, we're talking about women, but even as men, yeah, I don't understand how in 2021 we're not thinking about who we procreate with. I could understand 20 and thing years ago when the information wasn't out there as much, and we didn't have these platforms to share stories, so people were going in blindly, or maybe going in without asking the hard questions. But now in 2021, we always talking about questions that we should ask when we date, traits that we should look for in persons, especially when procreating, because at the end of the day, having a child and raising a child is such a heavy responsibility. You may be able to do it alone financially, but emotionally, you will need help. You will need help. You cannot raise a child by yourself, no matter how independent and strong you are. Man or woman, you just cannot do it by yourself. You need help.
What are some of the? I'm seeing a lot of comments that I want to share.
I kind of can't see the comments. Is it I see
Maybe.
us or I see the comments?
Oh, okay. Even if you're seeing the comments, we're still on. So if you
Hmm.
chose that window, um, as a parent though, what are some of the challenges you have, or what's some, especially being mother to a teenage boy? How challenging is that?
Um, okay, I want to phrase my words correctly. The challenge, I would say, being a parent to a teenage boy, you see, if I had a girl, I would know what it's like to be a teenage girl, right? And that child would be mine. They would have some of my personality in them, so I could relate more. Teenage boys, especially in 2021, they're so different. I am happy that I have a son who still teaches me stuff so I could relate. He will teach me, you know, he keeps me in the loop.
Mhm.
He keeps me in the loop, so I know artists, I know games, and he keeps me in the loop. We converse a lot. However, I know this may sound cliche, but you see, having a solid male figure in a young boy's life, it is extremely important that, especially when they reach that pubescent age, that they have that male figure, because we've said it over and over. As a woman, it's, I don't know how you expect to teach a young boy how to be a man. I don't see that as something you can do. You can assist, but they really need a strong male figure to guide them. And even though their father may not be that strong male figure. They need someone, even if it's a teacher, a counselor, a guidance, they need someone. They need someone that they could look up to and see values. And then not anyone from TV. Yeah? That's another story. You need to stop depending on celebrities that we don't know to be our children's role model. They could like them, like their style, but they shouldn't necessarily aspire to be like that person, except if you're talking talent wise. So, I would say that's a struggle because I do not see, as a single woman, I do not have somebody in my life that I could say, yes, this is a really good role model for my son. And unfortunately, his father does not count as a good role model for how I would say, yes, if he follows those traits, he'll be fine. So to me, that is a big struggle, and then sets off a lot of other things too, because that would set off the attitude, it would set off the company, they line with it, would set off how much they focus on school, because I mean, you could only talk so much, children have a mind of their own.
Mm-hmm.
So
I totally agree. Mm-hmm.
in terms of that, I could say when they start to reach that age, you realize how important it is them having a good male role model in their life. And I think I'm learning how we can use what we have, like teachers. I realize my son likes his male teachers. He likes his male teachers. He likes how they teach, and I'm not sure many people were listening to the live with Sam, A Few Good Men, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
when his wife spoke on how much we need to value more male teachers in schools.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because they play
You know,
a significant role especially for children who don't have fathers present.
mhm,
They actually become that sort of father figure that
mhm,
children look
mhm,
up to,
mhm,
and they form that sort of bond and they look to them for guidance, and sometimes
mhm.
it goes beyond teaching. It's like helping them to be better young men, teaching
Yep.
them their values and all of those things.
Oh
It
yes.
it's not just a chalk and board situation of them just teaching and they go your way and I go my way and that's it at the end of the
Mm.
day. A lot of children look up highly to their male figures, especially those who take the profession seriously and see it more
Yep.
than just teaching, but helping them to evolve in so many other ways. And
Yep.
that is something that they have to take on that without even asking for it. Probably they'll say, I didn't sign up for this, I signed up to just be a teacher here, do my job and go home, but here I am mentoring this young men and and raising them up to be responsible young men. So we really have to I'm happy she made that comment. When I heard it, I was like, yeah, we really need to
Yep.
applaud our teachers
Mhm.
because
Male
they
teachers, especially in all
really
boys school.
really play a significant role. Someone here is saying I was an adult when I got pregnant, making my own money, and my mother would still cost me. Plus, she would sing when the roll is called off yonder for me couple weeks. But the thing is, it's like I think they know what they've been through and the struggle for them. So a lot of the time they don't want it for you, but they don't know how to
Mhm.
have that conversation with you and highlight some of the advantages and disadvantages. Because, like I said again yesterday, like especially in our society, it seems as though having a child is like a badge of honor. It's something that you're supposed to have, but not many people prepare young women for that role. They say experience is the greatest teacher. You don't know what you're going to get until you're actually in it. But in terms of
Yeah. Mhm.
preparing, having the counseling, having the prenatal classes, and things to look for, and just to give you a little head start. But a lot of times it's just like I said, like just picking you up and throwing you in the water. That's how it happens for a lot of women,
A
especially
lot.
mothers who did not prepare for this, who had no intention of getting pregnant at that age, but it just happened. And here we are. I'm a mother, totally not prepared. Where do I go from here? How do we
And I
teach?
think, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I think we need to be honest too. Like, children are a blessing. I would say children are a blessing. However, let us not make it as if if you don't have a child, like that's not a blessing too. Having that freedom, having not having that responsibility, you are responsible for a whole human, for their existence, for their mental health, their well-being, everything. That is your responsibility. Not having that responsibility, there's nothing wrong with that. And we also, what I realize a lot of women do, When it's somebody we don't like, we use the fact that they don't have children as a shame or an attack,
I get
right?
it all
Or
the
an
time. I just
insult.
smile and wave because I'm like, you don't know my reason. I'm good over here. Why are you worried about what I'm not worried about?
But when it's somebody we may know or whatever, we're a little bit more sensitive as to why they may not have or may not choose to have. But we need to across the board understand, especially in this day and age, that it is okay for adults, male and female, to decide that the reproduction process is not something I wish to be part of. And you're still going to be an excellent contributor to society and going to do good for your country and be a good person. You don't have to go down that road, because that road is not an easy road. And yes, sure, in our blessing, there are also a headache. There are also a lot of work. There are also a lot of money. There are those things that if you don't have someone to share that burden with, the financial burden, the emotional, so much trying to send you crazy sometimes, and you're wondering if that is really your offspring, you know. Those
Listen,
days happen. Every parent can tell you about those days, Aruna. You're
listen.
watching them like,
I've been close to because having a child that may not be your biological child, but you still yours. You still have your auntie to a lot of children, your godmother to a lot of children, and sometimes
mm-hmm.
you get a list of stuff that they need. I remember one time I was sent a list of stuff to get, and I went to the supermarket, and there was like five things on the list, not a whole lot, but five things, and I put it in the basket, and I'm merrily going up to you know and I got there and it was almost 200 and something dollars for
Oh,
milk. I can never forget. It was milk. It was what's the thing that go with the milk? The
the cereal.
cereal. It was
Mm-hmm.
Pampers. I think the Pampers was the killer. It was because the pack thingy and some wipes. And I'm looking back to make sure. And I'm like, Miss, you sure that's how much it is? And she's yes, because the price wasn't
On
on
the
some
item.
the item. I just they told me what to get by the name, by the brand. I picked it up, and that is for one child. So imagine someone with two children with a couple months apart and not like years like some people would plan it. Okay, I'm gonna have two children like 3 or 4, 5 years apart to give me time to get my body back together and get myself together. What about those that have children like months apart? So you basically have two babies
And
and you
Aruna,
have those two babies.
that price does not go away. You would think, okay, you're not Pampers or diaper and milk to buy. When children reach a certain age, this is the reality. The way they eat. My son eats more than me. And everybody knows how expensive food is. And you have to feed them. You have to feed them. I am an adult. Sometimes I just decide I skip in lunch today. That is not an option for these little empty belly humans, because sometimes it's like they cannot satisfy. They eat the food bill alone. And then when you have children, you want to give them a healthy, normal, happy life. So little things you want to do for them. Sometimes just to take your kids, like let's say you want to take them to the movies or something. Aruna, the cost, I do not know how people do it with 3 and 4 children, because with one child, I look at my supermarket bill sometimes and I'm like, how are people making it out there? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
like it's so expensive, and that's what I'm saying. When you have to do these things on your own, when you have to do these things on your own. Now, I am a bit more vocal, so I will seek help, and I would um hold the responsible parties accountable. But there's a lot of other people that they're fighting in silence, and their head is barely above water. You understand? And they fighting, and I understand that sometimes the fear of being judged and how hurtful and embarrassing it is. People don't want to speak out, especially as women. Sometimes, pride gets the best of us. But Aruna, whether you have a full-time job, whether you're working for those $1,200 salaries that a lot of people are working for, whether Whether you have those $3,000 salary, Aruna, it is tough out there when you have to do it alone. Hence, I always go back to the point. Before we procreate, let us be mindful about this journey that we're about to take. It can be such a rewarding journey because, I mean, I can't lie. Kids are really, when they nice, they nice. I mean, let's not
So
lie. When they nice, they nice.
they put you in check. They make you,
But Aruna, that journey, it is best if you have a stable partner to share that journey with. And even if you and that person have to break up, because nobody really decides to have a baby and hope for a breakup, but even if you and that person have to break up, you have to know, well, even if you break up, he would still take care of his responsibility. She would still be a good mother. She would not spite me. She will not use my child against me. He's not going to use the fact that we no longer in a relationship against me. These are conversations that you have to have.
someone says you haven't even mentioned clothing and including shoes. They literally buy 3 or 4 pair of shoes a
I
year
don't want to go
because
down
the
there
way
already though,
their
because
feet
I'll
look.
make me cry. But son foot bigger than mine. His shoes are expensive. You understand? I don't even want to go down there. I want to stick to basic things. Girl. We have to feed them, man. We have to feed them. We can leave clothes and shoes like for Christmas and birthdays. You get a 2 new outfit or 2 new shoes. But we have to feed them every day. We have to feed them at 3 times
Hold on.
a day.
I think someone here wants to join. Let me hear what this person is saying.
Well, I must say this program is excellent. I was just about to speak on, the goods and the bads of being a parent, and I think we need to normalize saying both sides of it, not just saying, oh, having a child is amazing, is the most wonderful thing in the world. Let's also normalize saying having a child is hard. Being a single parent is hard. It takes a lot
Mhm,
from you,
mhm,
a lot of expectations, a lot of responsibilities. And hey, here we are. We didn't become single parents by ourselves.
mhm,
There
mhm,
was a point in time where we were in love with whomever we had the
mhm.
child with, and it so happened that things didn't work out. And I think society has normalized single parenting from way back when. It's easy for the father to just jut out the responsibilities, his responsibilities, because everything lies solely with the mother, and the mothers are the
Yeah.
nurturers and the caregivers and the providers and so on. And we've normalized being a single parent so much that subconsciously it's okay to feel like,
Yes.
it's okay to be a single parent. um but it's not easy. And also, to the people that don't want to have children, we shouldn't be knocking them down and saying, oh, why I don't have a child, why I don't have a child. It's
Amen.
okay. We need to normalize people living their life the way they want to live it, childless or with children, because it's really not easy. There are sleepless nights, there are nights filled with tears, and this thing prolongs even up until the child is a teenager. You never stop having those sleepless nights, worrying what their belly hurting them,
Amen.
and different things. But man, I think the people that allow you to become single parents, whether it is male or female, they need to accept their responsibility, because whomever the child is with would be the the main caregiver, main provider. And so a lot of us don't require much of the other people who decided to opt out of their responsibility, you know? So,
That's true.
serious conversation, because everything is super expensive to mind a child, and children grow so fast. Clothes, shoes, they eat so much. Their interests are so much more different from back in the days. It's not about marbles and spinning top and moral and them things. It's about
Expensive
Nintendo Switch and
gadgets,
Xbox,
phones,
and
and
it's a lot.
thanks so much. Someone here is saying what irks me the most is seeing a man not taking care of his responsibility with his child, but getting with another woman who has child or children for another man, and he's stepping up as a father to those children and not paying any mind to his biological child. I just don't get it. Okay, then.
And when you see when things like that happen, I honestly think that not because somebody has a child means they honestly love that child. And especially
Why do we have
when
child
young
abuse?
when young people have children, sometimes they don't live together. So three of them, the family's not growing up in a home together. So you come like a weekend dad. You understand? Y'all together, but y'all just don't live together. So the bond that you develop with that child as a father is very different from the bond the mother developed with that child. And a lot of fathers don't truly love their children. They may like
Um,
them, they don't truly love their kids. They don't truly love their kids. And they don't even realize that.
Sunset City Grenada says this program is so wrong. There are bad mothers as well. There are mothers that drop their
Of
child at
course.
the father in a box and go about their business. But City for Grenada, I didn't see you on the program yesterday, so you sort of getting the tail end. We had a conversation yesterday. It was dealing with something specific about mothers who are crying out for help. There are programs when we discuss mothers who are not playing their role. All right. So, like I said, there's nothing wrong about the program. It's just that your timing is wrong. You were not here yesterday, so you're probably not understanding where we're coming from in terms of the conversation that started that on incident that happened on social media. So it's not to do with it's not about who's wrong and who's bad and who's good and who's that is the problem. We're always gonna have an issue if we always see things as who's bad and who's good and who's wrong and who's right. At the end of the day, it calls for collectively working together. And if you know of mothers who are doing that, then it is your duty to call them out on it. And if you're a father and the mother of your child is doing that, it is your duty to call them out on it. What you find is that more women call out, or more mothers call out the fathers who are not taking their responsibilities seriously than the fathers, although they may be going through the same thing. That does not make it wrong or right. It's just that women are speaking up more. Women are the ones most of the times dealing with children on their own. Hate it or like it, it is the reality. You
That's a
have more
stack.
single mothers than single fathers. That is the reality. So there's nothing wrong or right about the situation. It is just that realistically speaking, mothers are going through a harder time because at the end of the day, the caregivers, the nurturers, so most of the time the children will remain with them than be with the father. There's an exception to every rule. There are times the
Of
fathers will
course.
be doing it without help from the mother. And of course, like I said, mothers are in a position where they do more of what we're talking about. All right. So
And that's why I even said men too have to think about the type of woman they're having children with. Make sure when you no longer with a relationship with that woman, she will not use your kids to spite you. And make sure I said that too, because I mean, we all know we have bad on both sides. But when we look at the statistics, we see more single mothers with children than we see single
single
fathers.
father.
But we're talking about both.
Mhm.
Well, I mean that comment. We're talking about both. It's just that maybe when you joined in, what you heard us talking about is a mother's perspective of what she goes through.
And that was the conversation is generally about because, like I said yesterday, the topic was with had to do with a mother who committed suicide because of the pressures of motherhood, leaving two children behind, and she was at her wits' end, saying she had no help. The children's father, were not involved in any way, shape, or form, and she was checking out because she's mentally and physically tired of doing it on her own and not having help from anyone, family, whatever, to take care of those children. So we sort of, piggybacking off of that conversation yesterday. So hopefully you can go back to the program yesterday and then you'll have a better understanding as to why we're here this morning. Rihanna says we also need to normalize taking delinquent parents to court for child support. And I like the fact that you said parents and didn't say
Mm-hmm,
fathers. We
mm-hmm.
need to normalize taking delinquent parents to court for child support. This I can mind my child for myself shouldn't be. But I always say if you have to force a human being, to me, I see it as I'm forcing you. You're not doing it of your own free will, meaning you
Yes, you're
don't care.
forcing them.
Because if you
You're
care
forcing them.
enough and you love your child enough, I should not have to take you up to the court to get how
But
much
they
money?
don't. They
Like
don't.
it's like what, $70 a week or 60, how much somebody told me some time ago a week?
No. The least the court would allow somebody is 150, and that is only because the
That is a week or a month.
parent a month, the parent has showed like they're not working and they cannot provide anything, but the judge will say even if you're not working you have to find a way to provide, so they will give you the minimum that you can pay. But the court system in Grenada has it's getting there. It's going to take a lot more work, but they're getting a little bit better, that you don't just come to say, well, judge, I can't do nothing and get away like that. Not anymore. You're going to really have to prove to that judge, well, I can't do nothing. And even when you show that judge, I'm not working, I can't do nothing, sir, you have to find some way to provide for your child.
Brian says, I'm not stressing my daughters to give me any grandkids. I'm good because you'll be the one footing the bill somewhere along the lines.
I mean, I'm kind of guilty of that because, as I said, I have two sets of grandparents. Well, that passed, but two sets of grandparents who truly helped, and I'm so grateful for that. But when you back to what you were saying about checking out, it is very easy to check out. It is very easy to reach a mental break. You understand? Especially how difficult times is right now, how
Mhm.
difficult it is to provide for yourself and children right now. It is very easy to check out. It is very easy to, I don't want to deal with this. Break down in tears, have a mental moment, and do something that you regret. It does not take an insane person to reach that point. You could be a functioning human in society, and when the pressures start to build and you asking for help and people giving you prayers, they don't know, I don't need prayers. I need $100 to go in the supermarket to get some chicken and some back and neck and some this. That's what I need. That's
You
what I
really,
need. Where
you
are people supposed
really
to
don't.
turn to if they really need
You really don't want to
supplies to
hear
cook?
God. You really don't want to hear God will provide at that point in time. You want to see the actual provision in your hand. Here it is.
You be that
You want
provider
to
that God
be
sent to me
here.
and help me. That's what I'm asking for.
Someone
You
says if they
know?
had a dollar for every time they heard God will provide, they would be rich by now, but they're still struggling. Um, Rihanna is also making a very good point here, which says if you cannot afford financially, be there physically. Take the
Yep.
child to school, bring them to play, just be a part of the child's life if you're not able
And
to
sometimes
contribute.
that is so valuable, Aruna. That is so valuable because then you're able to bond with your child and develop a healthy relationship. So yes, you may not be working and you cannot assist the mother with giving her a monetary contribution, but you'll be there when that child gets home after school, sits, make sure whether they do their homework, whether they take a nap, prepare a snack for them, do that. That is valuable time. And that is needed. You understand? So it's not always just the financial contribution, because a lot of people give financially and they're just not a part of their child's life other than a check. So what she says there is valuable, and a lot of mothers also need to accept, if you have your child fine and maybe they're not working, the care they can provide for your child, let's just hope that that care is good care. The care that they can provide for your child is valuable as well. You
It could be
understand?
something
And
as simple as sometimes instead of the mother might be the one working and he's not working, probably whatever the reason he's not working, and she has to take that child to daycare every day and pay that daycare.
mhm.
But you're home not working. So how about you take care of that child? Make sure that he's okay or she's okay throughout the day, whatever, so I can cut down on at least a little bit of expense here. Brian also says men who have friends knowing that your boy is a deadbeat, you have to call them out as well. How do you condone your boy not taking care of his child?
They decide to not make that their business. People are very selective when to get involved. Um, you have a friend who hits women, you don't get involved. Not taking care of their kids, you don't get involved. But maybe some petty issues that is none of your business. Oh, that's when you're ready to be a concerned friend.
Oh
It
wow.
happens all the time.
Here comes Samuel when we're about to wrap up. We forgot you're on today. Wow. Talk about friends like you.
You
Okay, so
understand?
On Friday we're gonna forget about a few good men. Since we have curfew until 9, we're gonna be out on Friday until 9. All right? Fair exchange. Okay, Samuel? Um, says you cannot force the boy to be a man. Some are just selfish and irresponsible. But then again, it's a whole cycle that we have because we would speak to some of these men and they will say, "Well, I didn't have a father in my life either." And I always say, and I said that to someone at a time, but you should be in the perfect spot to do better because
Do not
you
repeat.
know what it feels like to not have your father present, coming to PTA, playing ball, hanging out. You're in the perfect position to want to do better by your child because you know what it feels like. You experienced it firsthand. Nobody's telling you what it's like. You know what that felt like. So why wouldn't you want it to be different for your child instead of using the mine wasn't present either. But if yours wasn't present, you would want to be present for your child to make that
But I would
person.
love a psychologist to answer that, because you have people who grew up with such happy childhood. They were spoiled, their parents loved them, this, that, the other, and then You have a child now and you can't give the same energy. So it's not only when people have horrible childhoods that you would think they would not want to repeat it. There are people who've had some
The
pretty good
best child,
childhoods and they're not.
both parents present in their lives, and they're still. So I guess it's all to do with you, you know.
Yeah, we humans, we kind of different. We wired very differently, which is once again so important to really sit down and dissect who you're having children with. If that's the take home message, please be it. Please be it. And let your children know that from now. Let your teenage children know from now in the next years down the road when they decide to procreate. It is so important that decision you make on who you have children with, both men and women.
Sam says, yeah, at least you're doing something now, Samuel. We're about to wrap up. He says, stop expecting irresponsible people to change because of a child. Say, child can change your body unless you really want to. It's something you want, you have to do yourself. Sunset Cities says, that's another topic. No one can force someone to take their own life. That is a bit cold, but if that's what you believe, we aren't all wired the same. There are some who can break at the slightest things, and there are others who can take and take and take, and they would barely bend. You know, we aren't wired the same. Our mental and emotional capacity isn't the same. What I can take, another person wouldn't be able to take it. So we still have to be considerate. We still have to be, concerned about people.
Have
And if somebody
empathy.
said they're going through a hard time and they're on the brink of giving up, we can't just sit back and say, well, no one can be blamed for someone checking out. That is heartless and cold as cold can be, to say no one can be blamed for someone checking out, or no one can force someone to take their own life. If somebody's crying for help and they're in a vulnerable place and they're asking for a helping hand, or they're asking for a shoulder to cry on, and nothing wrong with providing that. Yeah? And it's not about forcing. Like I said, we are wired the same. Okay? So, time for us to go. Sheena, thank you a
Yes.
million.
You're welcome. Have a good day, everyone. Stay safe out
Have,
there.
have a good one as well. Appreciate it.
Mm.
Sam says, I didn't grow up with a father, but I'm glad I am a father to my girls. I'm not perfect, but I'm there, and they are my responsibility. Good for you, and good for the men who will see it that way and continue to do their part, to help, to take some of the pressure, some of the load off the mother's back. Yeah, like I said, it is a collective thing. It's not one person on doing it by themselves. One hand can clap. We need both hands to clap, right? And if you can, whoever is at fault, stop pointing and pointing fingers and this blame and that one is to blame. But everybody do the bit that they can, you know. I always say brighten the corner where you are. Because we spend a lot of time pointing fingers at this person is to blame, and this one, if this person didn't do that, or if this person did that, and it's da 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 da, da, and we're still at the same spot, not moving. We're standing there, pointing fingers and not moving. So we have to, at some point in time, say, you know what? Yeah, that person may not be doing that, but let me do what I have to do, and not say, okay, I'm not going to do it because that person isn't doing it. Do what you have to do. Do what you know is a responsible thing to do. Right? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for checking in. We'll be back tomorrow. I have a topic for tomorrow. It's been a while since we did like the ladies' room topic. So we have a nice one someone sent me seeking some advice on a personal situation. So we're gonna see if we can dissect it and offer some, some advice. Thank you so much, Escamar Variety Still Beacon Insurance and Western Union, for checking in with us today. Have a good one, guys. Thanks again.
Ladies Room comes to you compliments of Beacon Insurance. Insurance is a promise to pay. At Beacon, we keep our